But yeah, other than the commercial, there is some really cool news on Algorand, and one of them is something I hadn't heard of before, but it's called Travela. So let's take a look at that for a second. Big news: Algorand is now live on Travela. What is Travela, you ask? Well, I did too. It says book 3 million plus hotels, flights, and activities with 100 plus payment options, including crypto and card, with 24/7 support. Get up to 10% back in Bitcoin and Ava rewards, and I hope they have the same thing. But that's right, Algorand is revolutionizing the blockchain space with its scalable, secure, and decentralized platform. You can book millions of hotels, flights, fun activities, and more with Algo. Experience the future of travel with Travela. So it's funny, when I first heard about this, I thought, oh, is this another? Well, first I thought, oh, they misspelled Travelex. Like that's the thing that's on Algorand, where you can book flights and get the tickets are issued as or minted as an NFT, which you can sell. You can turn around as have a secondary market for, which is pretty cool. But this is actually totally different. This is a travel booking site. I haven't really tried it out, but actually we should. Is it just Travela.com? I bet. Yeah, it is. Okay. Hold on a second. Here's Travela, Travel Tiger NFT. So they got their own NFTs. That's very interesting. 100 plus payment options. I want to see if they actually show. I'm going to go to new tab. There's all the payment options. Ava, Binance, Crypto.com, Bitcoin, Utrust, WeChat Pay, Ethereum, USDT, Solana's on there, Near Protocol. So, you're going to get, when we watched that Algorand video, that was a hypothetical situation, but this is a real situation. You could actually test it out. You could try to buy something on 3 different platforms. You could try to buy it on Ethereum. You could try to buy it on Solana and Bitcoin or with Lightning. That's actually, maybe that's the one area where, did they even bring up Bitcoin? I guess they did. Hedera's on there too, by the way. Near Protocol's on there. Even PayPay's on there. Actually, it's kind of crazy that, is it me or did we miss? Oh, no, there's Algorand. Yep, it's on there. There's a lot of, you can buy with a Toncoin, Polygon, something called Grape. I never even heard of Grape. Cosmos. I like Cosmos. But yeah, that's pretty neat. That's really cool. Anyway, that is far from the only thing. If you're an xgov fan, well, remember, voting session 4 is now open until June 3rd. So you can review the proposals on the Algorand Community Forum and vote on the xgov website. So that's May 10th to 3rd. That's the voting session for xgov. So if you guys are eligible and you want to do that, that's where you do it. So I think I said all along, I'm not a huge fan of the xgov governance. I haven't liked the way the governance has worked at all, to be honest. So that's that, I guess. I just think I just think most of the decisions are pretty unimpactful. So I don't, and it's really hard to know whether you're if you just hold Algorand and you just commit it to governance, that's one thing. But the DeFi stuff, the thing with DeFi is you want to continually being able to update it. So to be stuck, and anytime you add to, even if you add to it, it kicks you out of governance. I got kicked out of governance last time, and all I did is add to it. I didn't subtract anything. So my balance shouldn't have went under, but for some reason it doesn't work. So yeah, I'm not a big fan, but just so you know, it's there. And this one I think is important too. So some news from Lofty. I think this is actually really cool. Highlighting 2 things on Lofty AI. This is from Jerry Chu. He's the CEO of Lofty. He says we've improved the charting model on the. No, I think he means model. Charting model. I don't know. On the platforms to better reflect the higher trading volume and liquidity for the AMMs. You can even zoom in on specific parts of the chart for more granular data. Basically, you can see the price chart. We're testing a feature that many users have requested, which is to let people automatically purchase more ownership over property over time. He's like, I'd like to implement part 2 on my properties. Can you help me with this? You don't need to do anything. It's a feature we're testing and already rolled out. Does that mean it's going to be automatic? I hope it's not automatic, because I don't want to do that. I want to pull the money out. I'm actually I don't know. Here's the thing with the AMMs. They're wildly different than the stated property price. So I don't really understand that, but it is what it is. All right. One of my favorite platforms here is Tinyman. We got some Tinyman news for you. It's from tinyman.algo. Algo fan, the wait is over. The Tinyman governance forum is now live. Join us to shape a decentralized future, propose ideas, discuss, and vote at gov.tinyman.org. Exciting updates are on the way. Full details on our governance process Let's see what pops up. I just want to see what comes up when you actually go to it. I really want to try out that Travela, by the way. All right, here we go. So here's the latest. You got Tinyman's IP strategy development, minting versus Tiny as liquid staking token. How about regular airdropping Tiny to Tinyman NFT holders? Utility of Tiny. This is all proposal discussion, so you can look at this. A lot of information on here. I'll say that. Here's the topics. You have proposal discussions, governance proposals, general. Start here. Feedback. So stuff to teach you about it. So there's a lot of reading you could do, and there's a lot you could go through. This might be worth a deep dive at some point. Just kind of going through all this, but um, is it me or does it look more robust than like Algorand governance overall? Like it seems more readable. It seems more interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I just haven't been a big fan of Algorand governance, and honestly, in general, like depending on what it is, like I'm not a blockchain expert, and I'm sure a lot of you aren't either. So, is there a lot of utility in us making decisions? I can see like decisions that affect us directly. Like there's a certain category of decisions that would make sense to me, but with something like this with the platform, this kind of makes a little more sense to me. Deshaun, big fan. All right. And did I have another one? I thought I had another one. Maybe that was it. Nope, that was it. Okay. Okay. Chat got quiet. Let's just cap things off with looking at the Ethereum SEC news because I think that's a big deal, and let's take a look at that. When I say that, by the way, I'm talking about the Ethereum ETF. So here's CNBC. SEC approves rule change to allow creation of Ether ETFs. The decision comes less than 6 months after the SEC approved Bitcoin ETFs. Those funds have proven to be a big success for the industry, with net inflows already surpassing 12 billion, according to Factsheet. Ether ETFs are expected to be smaller, at least initially, than their Bitcoin counterparts. So basically, it comes from the SEC approving a rule change, and that happened yesterday. At the time of recording this, anyway. That would pave the way for ETFs that buy and hold Ether, one of the world's largest cryptocurrencies. So it was about 6 months ago that the commission approved the Bitcoin ETFs. And they've been a pretty big success for the industry, according to this article. Net inflows are surpassing 12 billion. It looks like we're getting quite a bit of inflow from ETH already. Late May have been long pegged as potential decision date for the Ether funds since it coincided with the deadline for the SEC to decide whether the VanEck Ethereum ETF could proceed. Many of the companies that sponsor Bitcoin ETFs, including BlackRock, Bitwise, and Galaxy Digital, have also started the process of launching an Ether fund. Price of Ether rose just 2%, although it follows a 20% surge from earlier in the week in anticipation of Thursday's decision. Yeah, I think it was basically here's the thing about news, like it's usually kind of baked in by the time the thing actually happens, because usually it's already been talked about that it's coming. So yeah, I think that 20% surge can pretty safely be attributed to the Ethereum, the anticipation of the Ethereum ETF coming. Specifically, the SEC's order approves applications from various exchanges to list 8 different Ether funds. The order technically does not approve the funds themselves or set a date for the ETFs to begin trading. Ether ETFs are expected to be smaller, at least initially, than their Bitcoin counterparts. The Grayscale Ethereum Trust currently has about 11 billion in assets, much smaller than what the firm's Bitcoin fund was before its conversion. And that's fine. I like to see, at some point it's like, well, I wonder if each coin is going to have to go through its own process to do this. Like at some point, I would have to think, well, are we just going to allow, or can we create a approval process that doesn't require an entire rule change? Like maybe each coin can be presented to a board and they just decide on the spot, or here's the set of criteria, meet the criteria and you're in. If it's a border case, maybe we take it to some kind of committee hearing or something, but the SEC's push to regulate crypto has come under scrutiny by politicians. Senate last week passed a resolution to withdraw an SEC staff bulletin about accounting rules for digital assets. Yeah, we're seeing that change in Congress, which I think is really interesting. Of course, they're explaining that this rule doesn't apply to other cryptos. Lack of staking in the ETF products is another reason why Ether ETFs may see less demand than their Bitcoin counterparts, says Steve Lubka, managing director at Swan Bitcoin and head of Swan Private. These numbers are not going to match the Bitcoin ETF inflows. There are some structural differences in the product that just make it less attractive overall. That's interesting. I think it's good that it's happening. There's a lot of people that, when it's, especially the older folks, I'm kind of in between those two. A lot of older folks will, they're not going to go for They're not going to go buy ETF on Coinbase. But you know, if it's in their portfolio, heard a joke where people were talking about grandpas, you know, investing in the Bitcoin ETF to so they can have something to talk to their grandkids about. I thought that was kind of a neat little. It's kind of cute, isn't it?